On September 10th, 2025, the universe decided it was time for my dad to leave this earth. And so he did, to join the angels above. As part of my grieving process, it only felt right to open up about it with a friend who also went through a similar thing. This is Valerie. Valerie is my friend, emotional support human, mental health advocate, and someone who understands the depth of today's topic. And that is me. I'm Hayoung, a 20-something-year-old who is clearly not okay. But this is about to be a long one, so grab a snack and get comfy.
We're two lunatics.
Yeah. Alrighty.
We did it! We're here. I'm going to move my car to a different area because my face looks yellow. Okay.
Oh, better.
This is my first time doing this, guys. I'm a little nervous.
First time for both of us.
So today we have two objectives. One, to talk about the elephant in the room. And two, to get something to eat in honor of today's topic. We will be trying a very famous pho spot called Deli to honor our shared comfort food, which is soup.
Yay!
The reason why I have asked Valerie to be here is because we went through something very similar. Essentially, you also lost your dad at 20 years old because of cancer. And I can't imagine what that was like. And I know we talked a little bit about it, but we're gonna go through it all again. I think we could start with a quick family debrief, how our life was leading up to that day.
Mm-hmm. You want to go first?
Sure. I used to live in Houston, Texas, was a normal kid, went through high school, went through college. Through all of that, I feel like my family was always very dysfunctional. So for context, my brother, he has autism and he's older than me, my older brother. And so me growing up, I really felt like I was like their first child going through everything, even though he was like 4 years older than me. I feel like my dad, he had a very like free spirit. You know, Asian dads, man, they just eat whatever they want. He used to smoke cigarettes and everything. But essentially, he was not very good with his health. And that made my mom very like stressed. And so my mom is like ultra health fanatic, like only eats whole foods, not a lot of salt. And then my dad was kind of like the let's go out and eat. And I was just this angsty little Asian kid that now lives in LA.
I was born and raised in Venezuela, Latin America, not Minnesota. Because a lot of people, I don't know, because of the accents, they hear Minnesota.
Minnesota's crazy.
Which is, wow, it's not Minnesota, it's Venezuela. Okay, Latin America besides Colombia and on top of Brazil. Just a little bit of content. I mean, I was born and raised as a Latina. So I don't have like the influence of the United States or the one that like TV movies and all that, but very much a real Latina.
Yeah.
I did grow in a really family-oriented family.
Yeah.
So every Saturday we met with my dad's side of the family. So we were all gathering together, whoever was in the same city. But culturally, I wouldn't say like 100% your worth, but pretty much like your worth, how you are valued. It's in the grades that you have, like, oh, you are a doctor, you are a lawyer, you are an engineer, blah, 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 blah. But back then, I really had a hard time through school. I was not the more bright person with the best grades or all that. Yeah. And that was mainly the issue at home. And I feel now, I understand back then, that I was a princess. My dad did everything, and my mom was a queen, my sister was a princess as well. Everything that we needed, and my dad was the head of the family, and he was also the breadwinner. My mom worked, and she had a job and everything, but he was the one actually paying for stuff, like taking care of the stuff.
Honestly, let me touch on that as well. My dad was also the main provider / breadwinner. So in a sense, I was also pretty spoiled. But it was so confusing to me because we were always worried about money. But we would still do everything that we needed to do. He would still put me into clubs, like we would still go out to eat. We still went on vacation. And I was like, aren't we like worried about money? Like, why? How are we doing all of this stuff? Once I moved out to college, though, I learned how to kind of live on my own. I'm glad that it happened when it did, because if it was any earlier, I think I would be so lost. Because I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I am financially independent and I'm able to take care of myself. But back then, I really did not know anything about adulting. We're gonna start heading to the place because we're losing the sun, as we were saying.
Even when you are ill, of course, you are never prepared for death, but somehow you are a little bit, because now that becomes an option. But in your case of your dad, that was something that it was like he was ill. I don't know. I never asked.
He was not ill, he was just old. It was honestly very like abrupt. But 4 years ago, he basically had like a stent, and it opens up your arteries so that blood can circulate better. He was just eating really bad, and so there was a lot of stuff. So they just had to open that up for him. I think he also had diabetes. So he did have like problems, but he was still functioning fine. And I even saw him a week before because they had all visited me in LA.
Okay.
And it was also the first time I got to like treat them all out to food.
Oh.
And so I'm glad he saw that like I was doing okay. I was also stressing out because of this camera. I had bought this camera on Facebook Marketplace and it was like a hefty price. My Zelle wouldn't let me Zelle the whole thing. So I had to do it in 2 parts. And the second part, I accidentally sent it to the wrong person. I can't even make this up. So his name was Luis, the guy who sold me this camera. And I sent it to a Luis in my contacts because I wasn't thinking. That morning, I got a message from Luis and we called and we texted about it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. I didn't see that my mom had called me / texted me. And so she called me again. And I was like, oh, why is she calling me so early? It was like 7 in the morning. She was just like, Hayoung, like, your dad's dead. And I was like,
just like that?
Yeah. How do you say it in Korean? She's like, Hayoung, 아빠가 죽었어. And I was like, what? That just like put me in shock. I just could not believe that I just heard that. And then also on my messages, she was like, your dad is dead. I had no words. I just didn't believe it because I just saw him like a week before and he was doing fine. And they literally saw him the day before. He was doing fine.
Well, it happened like what he was working or?
My mom said she found him really early and she noticed like his light was still on. So she thought he was just like watching something. When she got closer, his legs looked kind of pale. What she described it as was like slightly bruised. Yeah. So I think it was like the blood stopped flowing. It was definitely something with his heart. Obviously, she like tried to check and he had already passed away. My dog, Mina, she's our family dog. She was with him the whole time. So she was just like next to him through all of that.
And then she found him. And then she called you right away?
I think she probably woke up my brother. She like called 911. They were trying to do CPR, but most of his body was like a little bit cold already and probably was like a heart attack. They ended up like taking him straight to the funeral home because he was already passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, being the one to like find him in that state, she was probably in a lot of shock too. We didn't have anything planned. Like there was no will. Like my dad didn't believe in wills. We just had to figure it out in a span of like a month or two. I went in on full autopilot mode. Like, what do we need to get done? Doing all of that at the same time. It was a lot. It still is. That is what happened. What about you, Val?
Well, mine, it's different because he was diagnosed with cancer. This happened in 2015.
Yeah.
And he was diagnosed around March because I remember it was his birthday was on March 22. And it was like pretty much 1-2 weeks after his birthday. Because I know it in Spanish, but in English, I don't know how it goes. But well, whatever. The doctor that is specialized in male parts And he was doing these checks every year. And he always has a high percentage on something. And that was going on for, I don't know, like 2 years. He was doing this checkup because they had this particular number elevation on their check-ins that was not, but they weren't be able to find what it is until they have a friend that has a prostatic cancer. They were talking and he shared all this and he said, hey, you need to check because that's a number up here when they discovered that I had cancer. Also, parentheses. The story where I was talking, because there's gonna be like a cut. The camera has been turning off, which we don't know. Oh, this is space.
Can I fit there though? This one looks really small. I can't. But you know what? I found a spot over there. We're just gonna back it up.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, fit.
Almost. What do you call you, Toretto? Fast and Furious?
Fast and Furious, baby. Okay.
So long story short, he got to the doctor. Mind you, we are talking about Venezuela, where certain exams were also a little bit more complicated to get done. But at the end, he got diagnosed with cancer. And that was very traumatic as well because he was actually getting his lungs full of fluids. So how we get it is like he got the fluids, he got drained, but again, 1 week later, he was already with his lungs full of fluid again. That was traumatic as well because the doctor didn't want to do what he needed to do. We changed that doctors, and then the doctor says, okay, let's see what this is happening. And he went to surgery. The doctor let us know, we sent everything to give the biopsy and all that, but we are sure. So whatever they saw when they did the surgery, when they opened it, it was sure that it was cancer. We didn't trust as much of the process in Venezuela just because how everything was at that point. And we have my uncle here in Houston. He already was living here for, I don't know, 7 years. So my mom and my dad came to the United States and they got a treatment. Here there's these pills that are like the chemo. So you drink those pills like every day. So it's a treatment forever. So he went back to Venezuela because, I mean, everything is expensive here. So he couldn't do like the part of the radio surgery that was part of Venezuela, and that's when he passed. Usually, I don't know if for a regular, but for at least for a radio surgery, you need to do a blood test before. Because you cannot be sick, you cannot have anything, because when you go through this, it does kill all your cells, bad cells, but also good. He needed to go to 2 rounds. First round went great. The second round, his main doctor went to vacation. So he was left to another doctor. And for some reason that we don't know what happened, he had like an infection. He went through radio surgery and he was able to recover because they killed everything. So there was nothing to find the infection that he had. So the cancer escalated in 1 week really fast, and the infection as well. So yeah, people.
So as our camera shuts off every 5 minutes, the restaurant was finally ready for us. And we were definitely ready to eat.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Tired. We got a little bit of ice cream after that whole ordeal. We didn't even get to finish your dad's passing.
So August, exactly 7th of August, he passed away. And 2-3 days before he passed, the doctor let us know, hey, like we are in a point where he gets better now or he's gonna die anytime. So they put like a mask, and then it's, instead of like you just breathing it, it's shooting you the air for you. So it's forcing you to take the breath, to breathe. So we took a nap, and that the machine started beeping. Because pretty much he died and he was not bringing them back.
Yeah.
So the tube just flipped out. But not from his mouth. Again, he had a mask.
Yeah.
So he just slipped out of the mask. And that's how we would just wake up and he was there. So we just prayed, and then he died like at 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
It's always the early morning. I feel like that's when my dad probably passed away too. Because my mom found him around probably like 5.
It's weird because there is something, I don't know how like religious or not you are or spiritual you are, but you know, like for some reason, that person is no longer there. And in that case, when of course, he died, we were there, so he was still warm and everything, and had the color. And people think that it's like in TVs, that you're dead and then you are white and cold.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like that. It's kind of like not just a couple of hours, but it's kind of around like 5-6 hours for you to be completely cold and without color. All that to say that during those hours when you are with the person still feels warm and alive. But some reason you already know, like it's a spiritual thing that you know that there is not there. Like it's just a vessel there.
For me, like I never got to see what my dad looked like after that, but I feel like I wouldn't be scared because it's just a shell of him. His soul is gone, right? But for my mom, I feel like she's really traditional, so she actually got rid of like all his pictures and stuff in our house. And I'm glad I like got to save one of them because I don't know where she put everything else. Like if you go into our house, like all our pictures have been swapped. She took it.
That means something? Like in your culture, that's
I think for her, I mean, obviously she was in shock, but also she just doesn't like keeping people that passed away in her home.
That is definitely interesting because we all know that. I mean, there is this saying that there is only 2 things for sure on this life.
Yeah.
Is that we get born and that we die. But even though we are never ready for that, because it's unexpected, we never know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen.
Let's talk about life after that. I think I was at a point in my life where I was already somewhat financially independent, but having my dad there was always like a safety net financially. But now I feel like I don't have that anymore, and genuinely I'm like, I guess I'm an adult now.
But how do you feel? Like you feel like you're freaking out?
It makes me feel like I need to find a more consistent work or job. Because really I came out here because I wanted to give my dreams a chance, and I feel like I've been able to experience some of those things, but it's hard.
I mean, also you are on a career or a field that's a nature as well. You want more stability, but what is going to look like in the career that you want? Because a 9 to 5, well, pretty much, but that means that you might have to sacrifice the creating part, because you could go to, I don't know, Sony, or you could go to Paramore, or you can go to Netflix or whatever and have a 9 to 5. But that's going to be more like either a admin job, or it's going to be, and nothing wrong with that. But that's pretty much you understanding if that's what you will want. To me, what happened the opposite. Like how fast everything happened, how fast I had to, pivot and start learning things and take care of things and take care of people and all that.
Yeah.
To me happened the contrary, where I had like the stability and knowing that actually life can pass in a heartbeat, and 1 second is one thing and the other one is not. That to me, I said like, well, I need to leave now because I don't know if I'm gonna be here tomorrow. And this is like going through another whole rabbit hole. But I don't have any regrets about my dad. Like, no, with him, I don't regret. So, like a lot of people, and I don't know if that's your case, but I know that a lot of people say, oh, I wish I would have more time. I wish I would blah, blah, blah. I wish I would a lot of things. I don't have that feeling with him. But I did have a lot of feelings of well, I should have go to school, the school that I wanted. Because I graduated as a psychologist.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to be a journalist. For example, my dad he was always like, whatever you want to do is fine. And with my mom was a fight. And at the end, I did like a year and a half of journalism while I was doing the psychology. And then everything happened with my dad that I had to stop because it was everything. Like it was too much for me, like doing two careers, the company that he had, and then my mom also had, and all that. It was too much, so I had to sacrifice that. And to me, that was one of the things that I regret. Not fighting more for going to journalism, not staying or not coming back to journalism, and like because I really enjoyed that was like my creative part. My creative part it was going through that school at least because again I needed to have a title for that. So that's when I decided, it's like, I'm going to really pursue my heart. And then the divorce happened, which we are jumping into a lot more time. The last piece that I needed is life, it's too short. It's too long and it's too short at the same time because, again, we don't know how long we have. And sometimes, like, well, let's not pressure them as much because we have time. But at the same time, let's not just decide what all the rest of the people says that we need to do.
I feel like I feel that to an extent. Initially, I was worried because he is literally the main provider. Like my mom hurt her arm, she does not work. My brother is disabled, he also does not work. I am out here working, but working enough for me. And then like just going through all the bills. Were we really paying this much? That's a lot for an average family. And then suddenly I was just like, oh my God, how am I gonna afford this?
It's a hard spot where to be because again, it's not your job, but it's also like, oh, I don't want to leave my family just drowning here. So it's that pull between two different things where, yeah, me here putting boundaries, like, this is what I want, this is what I need. Because at the same time, for example, you were saying like, well, your brother is disabled and he doesn't work, but can he work? Like, we were talking about this the other day.
Right.
He could. I mean, it doesn't have to be like going to the NASA.
Right.
But he could work.
Yeah.
So it's part like how much you're going to assume when other people can also do their part.
So let me ask you, whenever you decided to leave, I know your mom felt like you were leaving her. What was that like?
Well, it was rocky because two things happened at the same time. And it's like when my dad passed away, I became her husband.
Yeah.
And I became my sister, also big sister, but also kind of like her parent as well. Because my sister was 12,
oh my God,
12, 13 when my dad passed.
Yeah.
So, and my mom was in a really depressive state. I was like scared every time that I was gonna leave home and I was gonna go back home and I didn't see her around. I would like look for her. That was the first thing because I was scared of what she might do. So that's why I always tell you, be careful on where you put yourself in because it will make everything a little bit more difficult for you later. So whatever happened, we were talking about that together. If I was going to make a decision, talking about that together. And we have a very hard time with my boyfriend at that time, which became my ex-husband at that point, because I wanted to travel and see him because we were like also long distance. So I wanted to go back there and stay with him. For a long time, and she will have been pissed off. Even happened here. We have a fight before finally getting separated and divorced, and we were separated for a little bit. But we were kind of getting back together, and I slept outside with him, of course. Like at that point, my husband is still. And I came back home and literally has a movie or has a series when they're waiting for you on the table. Mind you, I am 27, 28 at that point. Married. Separated, but married still with my husband. I spent the night out with my husband. And she was sitting there waiting for me with a face that she was kidding. It is like, we need to talk. So it never passed. It never passed. But I'm trying to go back and answering your question. And it's that we have like a really physical distance that help. Make it harder, very rocky again, as I mentioned, but also help because she decided, that was her choice, that she didn't want to come to the United States. She decided that she wanted to stay back home in Venezuela. And I decided, and my sister decided that we wanted to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
So she couldn't force us to go back.
Yeah.
Because I'm a whole grown adult. And how do you take my sister? She was 16, 17 at that point.
Yeah.
But how you take her forced to get into the car and take her to the airport, and she's not a baby. She can say like, I don't want to be here, and all these fuss, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's this that make a lot of things easy for us. Like we start building on life here and kind of healing in that same breathing in that same space.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my mom felt that I just abandoned her.
Yeah.
And that was her journey to go.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go through that for her. So that she has to go through the journey of actually going back again to grieving, go back to stage 1 of losing my dad, and then go back to and start the grieving of both of her daughter, not being there with her. Like I can go through that because at the same time I was going through my own grieving.
Yeah.
My dad passing, I jumped into fight mode, flight or fight right away because what I just mentioned. That I actually didn't grieve my dad until I moved to LA. Not even in Houston when she came, because then it happened all this with the divorce.
Yeah. I don't know if I've fully went through the process yet. I feel like some days I feel it and I let it happen.
When you say, well, I'm going through grieving or to grieve, what is the thing that comes to your mind?
I think allowing yourself to feel all the emotions, understanding like, okay, I am upset or I'm feeling really sad today. Sometimes when I need to cry, I just cry. But then I think it's mostly emotionally, but then there's the other part, trying to figure out the family's dynamic. And because I don't see them often, I'm trying to process it myself. But we start bumping heads when I do see them because they're seeing me for who I was a year ago. Like they don't understand like how much I've changed. And so it feels very frustrating to try to grieve together. So I feel more comfortable in my own space and allowing me to feel. But when I'm at home, I'm like, I'm super quiet. Like I don't say anything. I'm just very in and out.
When you mean at home, you mean Texas?
Yeah. I'm very blocked off.
And that also have to do with not 100% with the grieving, but more of like, who are you there?
Yeah.
So that's a part of like, who is the Hayoung that have to be over there? And maybe the Hayoung that is here is someone who has their heart more there.
Yeah.
You know, and they has to be more guarded.
Yeah.
It's a different hat that you have to wear there.
Yeah.
And pretty much also you are with your mom and your brother, where you have to be the tough one because who else is your soulmate?
Yeah.
All these process you are telling me that you have been the one soulmate.
I was doing so much research in that process. Maybe it's also the language barrier, but I was doing what I thought was best for all of the decisions. But I realized what she wanted was someone to be by her side to make those decisions, but she didn't want someone making those decisions for her. And it made me a little upset because I was doing all this research for her, all for her to be like, no. And so at some point I had to be like, if you want to do it that way, you're going to have to go on Google. You're going to have to search it up on your own. You can call people and ask them, but I'm not going to be doing those things for you because it felt like there was a wall.
How did that work? Did she start doing her own research, or she just shut up and let you be?
At first I did everything, but I was like, I'm learning all of this as much as you are. I've learned as much as I could about this and did what I think would have been the best for you. Not even for me, for you. And for you to just like disregard all the information I just gave you, it feels like, what am I doing? So after that, I feel like she actually started doing stuff. But when I first came after my dad died, I was already in fight mode. I was like, I'm ready to get things done. But she was still in a state of shock / she couldn't do anything until they cremated his body. Because his body was still at the funeral home.
How do you feel like right now things are?
It's better because we've secured the two most important things. And so now I feel like I can finally take time for myself and breathe and continue my journey here.
How she is with the fact that you are here and not?
Yeah, she definitely wants me to come back.
I mean, all moms do.
But after my experience last week,
You were like,
I was like, no, I can't. It wouldn't be healthy for me. It wouldn't be healthy for them. I need to go to the restroom.
okay.
But
Yeah,
we're back. I feel like we were talking about us leaving healing in a different city in general. Do you feel like it affected your identity?
The passing of my dad?
Mm-hmm.
100%. First off, again, I had to go all from princess to get my shit done and start,
Yeah.
taking roles that probably not for the timing. Again, there was like this period of time that I was really into fight mode that I will say that I was just like trying to go through life. Also thinking about my sister has again these old roles shift a little bit. So for sure, yes, I did change a lot. And I have to because I need to figure out who I was.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you know who you are?
Not completely, because there are still part of myself that I haven't explored. So to me, has been trying to build those first layers all over again. I feel that I had to build them again because he was that first layer and pretty much a really big chunk of that pyramid.
Yeah.
So I had to go through all that. And then 2 years ago, well, 2 years, no, like 4 years, 2021, when I got divorced. Okay. Then at that point, I had the chance to sit down and say, okay, I'm here. Like I already kind of covered this first half of the pyramid, and then now I need to change and figure out myself. I wouldn't say that I did 180, but almost. And now I pretty much know me more.
I feel like I'm still navigating through all those roles, identity, everything. A lot of people are still figuring that out. Doesn't matter what age.
There is always something new.
Yeah.
There's always something new. Something will trigger a whole new movement in yourself. So
yeah. What else can life throw at me at this point? Please, no more events for at least like 3 months. Now that you have been through this, for me, it's only been a couple months. So obviously things will change with time. Clearly, I was feeling some type of way and I decided to bleach my eyebrows blonde.
I mentioned this off camera because we were waiting for this to get recharged, but I mentioned that in these 2 months, I've seen the change in you. I mean, the Hayoung that I met a year ago, like when we just met, we have never done something from, okay, let me just try it. Before you were more into, I want everything super perfect and in control. And now you are like 180 change where it's like, well, let me just try it. And that's something that have happened, and I admire you for that. I congratulate you for that. I'm proud of you for that.
I will say, what helped a lot was me paying off my debt. Because that put me in a lock, dude. I was in jail until that was gone. I'm so excited to see what the next 6 months, next year will bring for us. It's been, what, 10 years since your dad has passed away?
10 years this year.
How do you feel like you are doing with it now?
I mean, it's a whole decade.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole freaking human that has 10 years old. It feels like a lifetime. In terms of me missing him, sometimes it's still fresh. For example, we are heading into holidays, and that's my favorite because how I grew up as the family, and we will talk about this at the beginning. Again, I was a princess, really spoiled one, so he will go above and beyond for us to have a really good Christmas. So these times, even that has passed 10 years, Christmas is always for me something that does triggers me emotionally. Sometimes I don't figure it out. And sometimes, for example, around his birthday, around his death anniversary, even if I forgot that day is his birthday, or I forgot that day is his death anniversary, emotionally, I am all moved. And I was like, what if I'm so emotional? What I'm crying for anything? When I'm like driving on that same week, like when I'm driving and I'm listening a song that I will be blasting and suddenly I'm just crying. Because emotional there, it's still there.
It's getting so dark. We've been talking for so long, you guys. It's been a long day. Is there any favorite memories or like reflections or any last words as we close this chapter? Obviously, mine is still open, but closing
kind of
this
one
moment.
Of the Well, I will say a couple of things. I'm sorry, guys. With me, everything is layered. try to get a relationship with yourself and get to know yourself, or just blow that up and start from scratch, because that's going to be the ground and the foundations for everything else. With that said, that means that humanize yourself. I know we are human beings, and then we call that, oh, I'm just a human, but it's hard for us to bring that to the actual practice of humanizing ourselves and knowing that we are not perfect, and then don't talking shit about ourselves. Don't be so hard with ourselves. If you have the resources to go to therapy, go to therapy. If you don't have the resources, because that's something that is expensive, we have information on internet.
Yeah.
So it's not, I'm not saying that don't go to the professional. That's not has to be like a therapist. These days you can go by a holistic route, which is we have coaches, we have breathwork coaches. I don't know, like we have many other options, and that's what I'm talking about with your research. Knowing who you are, or not knowing who you are, but kind of like tickling of where you want to go, or how you feel, or what you think that it could be the best for you at that specific moment. It will help you look for the resources that you need.
This was definitely a ride for me, but thank you so much for coming to talk to me.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so honored, though. I'm so honored to be at the first experience.
Safe to say I learned a lot, but also I feel like this was my first step into trying something new, and I wanted it to feel special.
I want to close as I close my podcast, but in Spanish. I really hope that this has been some kind of tool that you can add into your life.
I feel like I need to give you a hug for
spending this day with me. Yeah. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you. And I love you so much, Hayoung.
Well, hope to see you maybe in a week.
Hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it